everybody. Welcome to the Landcast. I am Nathan, a VP of Chasteen Land and Title, and we've got our fearless leader, the CEO of Chasteen Land and Title, Mr. Brandon Chasteen here. How's it going today, Brandon?
It's going great, Nathan. A nice 88 degrees. Don't know what that is Fahrenheit or Celsius wise, though.
The reason Brandon says that is because we are joined by a friend from the north today. We are joined by Mark McKee with Vertex. Where are you located, Mark?
I'm in Sarnia, Ontario. Good afternoon, guys. So really near the southernmost point of Canada, Pele Island out in Lake Erie, and it's a couple hours south of here. So north of Windsor, about an hour from downtown Detroit on the southern tip of Lake Erie.
Okay.
What is one thing that all Americans get wrong about Canada?
That's a great question. I think that we're all nice. I think that that's one thing for sure. I've in my time here close to the border and across from Michigan and the involvement with the International Right-of-Way Association, I've been exposed to a lot of American folks, and they indeed are nice, kind, and welcoming, and more so than some of the folks up here.
Huh. Oh, really?
Yes, that's a big surprise. That's one big thing for us. Like, I don't think that Americans should sell themselves short on the niceness scale.
So the myth of the kindly, polite Canadian is maybe a little bit exaggerated, huh?
I wouldn't go that far for those Canadians listening to the podcast that may know us and Chasteen Land and Title, but no, I think we're more alike than people actually realize. I think the kindness narrative about Canadians could be extended to the Americans as well, especially these Michiganders. They've invited me into some region stuff with the association, and they've been very, very kind, very welcoming. You guys are in Region 5 country.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we're Chapter 10.
Yeah, so. Okay. Yeah.
And you're not too far away from Bloomington. I know Detroit's like 5-6 hour drive, so it's not horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what you were saying about Americans. That was one of the big takeaways, I think, from the World Cup, right? People came over and they were really surprised at just how likable and friendly we are as a nation down here. So.
Well, yeah, in addition to the ranch shortage.
That's right.
I was watching that. All the Europeans were basically hauling back crates of it. I saw Hidden Valleys or Garden Valley. They were making carry-on sizes.
Hidden Valley,
yeah. My son was showing me those videos. So do you guys have ranch up in Canada?
Oh, ranch is huge here, you guys. On everything. Pizza crust, French fries, any kind of salad, sandwiches, chicken. Any kind of protein.
Sounds like that's the American way there, yeah. So,
we could do it at all the Americans. I love ranch on a pizza. Well, let me ask you a little bit about what you do. So for people who've never heard of Vertex, what is the simplest way to explain what it is and what you do?
Vertex proper is an industrial and environmental company. We provide industrial and environmental services company, I should say. And I am part of the consulting division there. And within the consulting division, we have environmental engineering and land. And I'm the general manager and help oversee land engineering enviro for the provinces of Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Ontario. Then on the other side of the services, in the industrial side, we do a lot of cleaning of vessels, tanks, that type of work. We have a fluids division as well, a lot of hauling. Whether it be, crude or vac truck work as well. But I'm tucked into the professional services side of things, the consulting side of things. So we were started in about 1962, headquartered in Sherwood Park, Alberta. Our American headquarters in Houston.
Okay.
So we have a footprint in New Mexico, Colorado, Texas, and now into Michigan as well.
So did you get your start as a landman then?
No, I kind of fluked into that, you guys, as well. I'm a farm kid from northeast Saskatchewan. So, I mean, halfway between two towns, population of one is 500 and the other is like 35. Nearest cities, 9 miles away, 6,500 people. So, like, boonies, nearest neighbor's a mile and a half beside my uncle that lives across the road type of thing. So, get off the farm in the mid 90s. It was kind of a one-way road out to Alberta or out to Ontario. Agriculture wasn't very strong back then. A lot of the kids were leaving, so I went and got a commerce degree. And then after that, the day after New Year's of 2001, I flew down to Daytona Beach to become a professional umpire. So I umpired a lot of baseball when I was younger up here, and that was the dream, right? I was too fat to play any kind of level in hockey and baseball. So the goal was to be a professional umpire and a professional referee. Okay. Neither one worked out. Came back from Daytona Beach and then applied for my first job out of university and got it at an appraisal firm out in Edmonton, Alberta. So what we would do is provide expert opinion with respect to market value and damages for pipeline rights of way. So I got into it that way, and then I got scooped by a land company, and then I hit the field. I got out of the appraisal world. I'd rather deal with farmers and BS with guys than be in court. So that's kind of why I went that route, and that's all I've done. This is my 26th year, you guys, doing this,
So primarily the negotiation side.
Well, what I do now is, I'm more of the business side of things, business development, like run projects when I have to. Project management still what I love to do. Like I will hit the field once in a while, right? Even though that we have, juniors to go do it, or what I like to call them, tougher negotiations with certain landowners. I like to call them celebrities. Mm-hmm. I'll go attend on those folks sometimes as well.
Is a celebrity just somebody who's well known for being interesting, difficult, whatever?
Interesting, difficult, all of the above. Eccentric, straight up weird.
Mm-hmm. What's the weirdest landowner you've ever dealt with?
Oh, I've had a few. I don't know how much detail to go into. One fellow actually, not sure exactly. It was some kind of a mental problem, but he parked his parents' boat in the shed, but he grabbed it with a tractor and a grapple fork and drove it through the overhead door. That was a good one. Another landowner, a number of years ago, probably 2010, exploration well, basically if you're looking for minerals, mm-hmm. you want to drill exploration wells and delineate your area, right? So it's not a oil and gas well where it'll be there forever. There's no equipment whatsoever. So reclamation's right after you drill, right? So landowner was a little tough and he took a run at a couple employees with a tractor. So we got him detained overnight and reclaimed it while he was in jail. That was a good one too. So, and I mean, just the typical, you don't know who's on the other side of the door, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what makes the negotiation side of this industry, this career so exciting over time.
Drove a tractor at somebody, huh?
Yeah. Well, yeah, took a run at him with a tractor and a lot of the individuals aren't necessarily, and like being from a farm, I think I got not a jaded, but a different aspect on things than some of the folks that may be in the environmental space that haven't come from a farm. Because, I wasn't there, right? But, it's still definitely an incident, definitely has to be looked at, but come on, really? You couldn't get out of the way of a tractor?
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's the difference between a straight up land agent or a landman or land representative and anybody else, right?
Yeah. A tractor is not the most efficient murder weapon, maybe.
Oh,
no.
I'd rather have a tractor than a bull.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I'd take a tractor over a lot of things, really.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So now you're doing more of the project management kind of side of things. What is your secret to that? What makes a great project manager?
well, in addition to being, the typical qualifications and experience, I think starting early and identifying team members, like I'd rather have an empty seat than a dud. You know what I mean? That doesn't show up prepared. I think picking your team was, to the extent as possible, picking your team and engaging early. I find a lot of times land is maybe overlooked by other departments, whether it be the geologists or engineering or construction. Sometimes land isn't at the table on the project team side early enough, and then surprises come about, right? So, it's throughout the years, there's always been kind of a push-pull between land and the engineers, right? Like,
what's the kind of thing that they overlook?
Yeah, I was curious because you mentioned geology and things like that. So what are you talking about?
Oh yeah. So all of a sudden they'll want to go drill a well, and it's like they put a blindfold on and throw a dart at a map, right? Like, why can't we drill there, McKee? Well, it's in Brandon's backyard, right? Move that over across the road to that Bearland property that's peas or beans, right? Things like that. General basic location items, you guys, often have to be broken down to the project team. And honestly, that's where being a lay farmer kind of helps, because you can bring pragmatic avenues or pragmatic solutions in that a construction guy may or may not even know, right? Let alone the engineers or the people that are going after the spot. So the geologists lots of times say you're on tight geology. I got to drill it here, right? So my surface has to be here. I don't want to hit some kind of a slant because that costs me more money, right? On a drilling program. So if we can back it off, what's the word? Not lenience, might be lenience in like the lenience in the geology or the acceptance that they can move, like, if they can move 10 meters or 500 meters, 300 feet or 1,000 feet kind of thing, right? So that's where you'll run into it. And I think that land is kind of in a interesting spot to bring those other groups together and show them, like, hey, if we start early and pick the right location and routing, it'll save you a lot of money down the road. Even finding accesses and stuff. As soon as you have a project, you should get a land person involved, right? I tell our new staff, everything that you see through your windshield affects land.
That's right. Yeah, it's easy to think in the abstract, right? And that's kind of what they're caught in doing that, thinking more generally, and you bring them back to the real world, the land, the people who own it.
Are they overlooking the personal side of things for the most part? Like who the people are, what they want, where the property lines are, that kind of like...
Yeah, the desktop stuff is easy, you guys, right? Like I can find my environmental constraints. Obviously, don't drill in the lake. Stay away from species at risk, right? But it's just like, the things like proximity to residences, how this is going to affect his cattle operation. Is this in the middle of the pasture where you could move it to an annual crop, or, then you can graze right up to it, little things like that. Why wouldn't you take this little piece and avoid this parcel altogether? Little triangles, that type of stuff, right? And then also like legacy items as well. It seems like the land or consultation or regulatory departments, they seem to have better records of what's happened on the property over time. Again, if you have the celebrity, somebody in the building knows about that individual likely, right? Get them involved early. Or try to find out the information early, right?
Yeah, because it can be costly.
Oh, yeah. So all of a sudden you get to construction, yellow irons out there ready to go to work, and you don't have a permit to be somewhere. It starts raining, and you need access in from another person that you never phoned before, right? So I think as best you can, and I know things happen, but like try to plan as early as you can. So early engagement is my biggest secret, I'd say.
What's your best sort of tip for all the people out there that are dealing with office politics and stuff? When you find that you're coming into a project and you're coming in a little bit later than you wish you were, how do you, with kindness, shall we say, insert yourself in where you need to be.
Well, I try to keep my mouth shut as long as possible. Number one.
Right.
No, I think not. I don't know. Like, I guess it's the same as any kind of a meeting. Like, don't try to call people down or slag on previous ideas, but at the same time, have you thought of this, or why not this type of thing, right? Like, it seems, I don't know what it's like in America. It seems like in Canada, the strong arming of the landowner, that world's over.
Mm-hmm.
In Canada. That died probably, between 10 and 15 years ago, kind of thing. It's more, you need more than just the ink now. You need essentially social licenses for any kind of a project of magnitude. Otherwise, you're going to get lit up in the paper, right? So, gently would be my answer. But at the same time, convince the project team why the cost outweigh the benefits. And if the costs don't outweigh the benefits, land isn't that big of a deal. If the cost benefit scenario in headquarters says pay the landowner, do this, then the land person, that's the decision that's been made. Support the decision and move forward. I've seen a lot of times where we as land folks in our industry maybe overstep in certain cases, and I have been that guy. So I can confidently say that, right? Like, my mouth has got me into trouble in project meetings where engineers far senior than me didn't want to hear what I had to say, even if it was correct. So gently would be my advice there.
Yeah, that's interesting. So the corporate side of it here in America, there still is some definite strong arming, and depending on the corporation, whether or not they care. I guess the only thing I'd add to that is we've had the good fortune of dealing with companies that actually do care, and I really appreciate that when their land managers take that stance where they want to go the extra mile to avoid condemnation if they possibly can.
Like, those days, like I said, Brandon, those days are, and it's liberating and kind of refreshing, because I've been the land guy where I've gone in and really leaned on people to sign things, but I would prefer to not be that way anymore. It's the same kind. When I talk to our new folks, I kind of relate it to safety a little bit. Like 25 or 26 years ago when I started, the expectation was, unless it was really, really bad, McKee, you go and see them. The iron's waiting. We want to drill this. It's licensed. We want to get going, right? Now, the expectation would be, if there was some kind of a doubt or risk or whether, that you don't go. We as an industry have gotten a lot better over the last, like, during my career, you guys, there's no doubt that there hasn't been a strong improvement with relationships with stakeholders and landowners, and a far better understanding and belief in sustainability of our environment. Yeah. There's no doubt about that over my last 20, 25 years. Depends on our client as far as the strong arming part, I'd say, up here. The utilities, right? The utilities company here, we're still kind of shackled to crown corporations in a lot of cases. So those guys, again, it's tax dollars. So McKee wants them coloring within the lines as well. I don't want silly money, handed out to Chasteen if you guys are all of a sudden better negotiators than me, So we find that most of the outfits that landowners have resistance to, especially out in the prairies in Canada, are the utility companies or the Crown.
It's just seems to be pretty universal.
Here
you have the power of eminent domain, condemnation, and priority. So if someone's not going to sign, you could just make them sign or force it. But we've had good fortune of dealing with energy companies who that is the last measure, right? They would rather go out of their way to avoid that. And I don't think it's just because of image.
Really?
Yeah. It was great.
Yeah, I think it's a wide variety in Canada. It depends on what your appetite is. All of a sudden, you can get some companies are like, well, pigs get fat, but hogs get slaughtered. It's time for some
Yeah.
hearings, right? Let's find out what the actual value is in the neighborhood. And then to the other end of the spectrum, we'll basically pay whatever they want. And but then after that, then it's hard for the guy that's representing the utility to come in for a right of way, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So it's always a pattern of dealings spiral out there on who's getting paid what. But I think over time, you guys, I think the land part of it, landowners were kind of the proverbial drop in the bucket for a lot of years. And I mean, they only represent maybe 5 to 10%, like land costs 5 to 10% of your project. I heard a couple days ago, maybe in the teens now. But again, like it's a loud drop in the bucket and it's a risky drop in the bucket because your name can get in the paper quick, right? So I appreciate those, and most of our clients are like that now as well. Like I'm talking historically, you guys, for the strong arming part of it. Like it's been refreshing the last 10, 15 years of my career, to tell you the truth.
So you think it's just been a completely positive change in your book?
I don't know if I'd say completely positive all the time, but I mean, I think that industry does things well in North America. I think that both sides of the border have fairly stringent environmental rules and compliance to adhere to in order to move projects forward.
Yeah.
And I think that actually in Canada, it's almost been to the negative. Like regulatory regime has kind of made it so well. Maybe it's tough to command big investment, right? If you're not certain that you're going to get a project through and the government can kibosh it at the end, maybe I'll spend my money elsewhere, right?
Yeah. Just here in Bloomington, you see that in the government level with building any sort of small business infrastructure. It's hard because there's so much regulatory oversight that.
Well, is Indiana like that?
Bloomington is like that in particular.
Oh, well, it depends on your municipality.
Yeah. I can say I doubt anybody from the Bloomington municipality is listening. So, and if they are, let's change it, guys. Come on, make it easier for us.
Hi out there.
So, Mark, if a project is bad, why is it bad? Typically,
I would submit like expropriation up here, eminent domain down there, condemnation. I think that's a pretty straight up marker of failure for me. I know that a lot of individuals would probably argue with that, saying that that's a tool to use. But I think that if you're there, you're apart from the landowner, apart from the stakeholder. I think cost overruns would be another one. Obviously, if there's health, safety issues, if we have any recorded incidents, that's a good measurement of a failed project. In-service date doesn't bug me as much, depending on what happens before that, but that's another gauge. Sometimes a pipeline or utility company will want an in-service date, and that's set up even before you even selected a route of any kind, right? So that would be it. And I think that we try to capture those and lessons learned from a project management perspective. But I think that the biggest one is like, if you don't get the surface rights from it, from a land perspective, or that there's a spill from an environmental perspective during construction, those ones can wreck a project real quick.
Is the reason that you're so down on kind of eminent domain and that kind of stuff is that because you are a farm boy and you just have compassion for the landowners? Or
that's kind of funny. That's ironic because I'm the farm kid that probably wouldn't sign much if a land guy came to my house, which makes it kind of ironic about what I do. No, I think I would submit that on the negotiation land side of things, that tells us, and I understand it's a tool, but it tells us that we didn't do our research. Somebody was underprepared. We couldn't get through to the landowner, and I'll always take that last one as my fault. Yeah. No matter what that landowner's like, I don't think it'd have anything to do with I would actually be, if I was the landowner, I would probably be one of the individuals that you would have to expropriate on. Unless, well, subject to who's coming to knock on the door, right? Again, knowing what I know now, if, Chasteen Energy Limited comes to the door, it's a lot different than if the government of Saskatchewan comes to the door, right?
Right.
I'm able to identify who has pockets now, likely, and probably overall demand for the project.
Yeah. And the exceptions exist. I mean, the tool is useful for a reason. Like we worked on a project where here you have to have 600 some odd acres to have a pooled unit for a rig. Like they had signed 599 acres. All the neighbors were eager to have that. And there was one guy with just 1 acre. It was going to be way away from the rig.
Yeah.
Had nothing to do with his property. He just refused to sign. And so, they worked with him for months and months, and eventually they just had to go to the DNR and get a forced pool for him. And so those exceptions exist, and it's a good thing in those cases, I think. But
that one's not a failure. We have those up here. It's always those out in the middle of nowhere. It's that 1 or 2 acre cemetery.
Yeah.
Right. So all of a sudden, this up here, like surface title, mineral title, and the Crown owns most of the minerals. So like your surface title holder here very seldom owns the mineral rights in Canada, right? Yeah, that's the big diff there, because your guys that have surface wells are interested in drilling for their royalties and may or may not care quite as much about if it's a little spilly. Right. So so here it's that's a big difference. And same kind of thing with our title system up here. Fee simple title subject to got to name the 4: police power, taxation, expropriation, and escheat, I think is the word, ESCHEAT. And basically that's if a person dies intestate and you can't prove up the beneficiaries where the minerals or the property is supposed to go, government comes in, it goes back to them.
So the government owns most of the minerals. How did they usually acquire that?
They quit handing out mineral rights. So what had happened was, and I don't know the years, but basically they go to build the railroad to the west. Crown or the government ends up giving, I think it was 20 something odd million acres to the railway company, minerals and surface. But again, they're in the railway business. So they ended up homesteading out a whole bunch to private landowners. And then the government got smart and said, no, we're going to retain our mineral rights. And that went into each province. Or there are some sneaky deals done as well. Some taxes put on various mineral rights, and if you didn't pay, they went back to the respective province. So like in Saskatchewan, out west in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta, or across Canada, I think the number's 80. The split's 85-15.
Really?
Yeah, so then 15% of them, but the pocket of the 15% will predominantly be across the prairies near railroad main lines.
Okay. That's fascinating.
And so there's a lot of places where...
And fascinating part of this too, you guys, is various mineral plays. I'm experienced that too. Like, you wouldn't believe how many dead Americans own them, right? So it would have been wildcatters from, Illinois, Indiana, all over America coming up, makes a deal on minerals. But and I mean, these are rich Americans for the most part that came up. So when you phone up these folks, they don't care about 20 acres of petroleum and natural gas rights in Manitoba where they've never been. So like we've had to chase down some pretty big named individuals in America to sign mineral lease deals in Canada.
You were saying that title runs a little differently too there, right? It's almost like kept in, it's easier to go and find these things or something. Explain that. Yeah,
so I think Dominion system, basically they came over and it was a registry system, much like you guys are now, but out west in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and BC. They came up with a system whereby they insure their titles and they prove them up as being true. So there's no need to go to the municipality or the library or a law office to go through the stacks in every registration. The respective provinces will guarantee their accuracy. So like proving up titles, nothing that you need to do under that system. Now in Ontario and some of the older systems, especially around water, still a quasi registry system. So you still got to go look, search, see what's there. Could be title to Nathan still, but there's a purchase and sale agreement registered by Brandon. So you got to have your eyeballs on that, right?
Yep.
So whereas the titles out Western Canada, one page off the internet, guaranteed accurate.
That's wild.
I know that dips. I know that takes into your business, but I mean, it's
you don't have title abstractors over there.
It makes it so easy. Yeah, right. So like, but they did it smart, you guys. They pawned the cost all off on industry, right? So as titles were, and I'm talking minerals here now. But as the titles were being leased or affected or anything like that, then they would be proven up, searched, abstracted, and then guaranteed true. And then the same thing they'd add a cost, say if all of a sudden subdividing or like a new development on a 100-acre parcel, that developer's now paying for the undertaking of the government to prove that parcel up and those rights. Check everything, all the encumbrances, caveats over time, etc. Big undertaking. Like it took Saskatchewan a number of years to get it going.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, and a lot of the oil rich or just mineral rich areas in the U.S., often their recorder systems are much better. So a lot of Texas's stuff is online, as my brother would point out. Yeah.
Oh, really? Eh?
And it's online because these oil companies helped pay for it, right? And then you'll also have these title plants and things. Yeah. So we got our start in Texas. Grew up just south of Fort Worth.
Yeah.
And you have these big title plants that you go to that have all these records, and a lot of that is because they were paid for by the energy companies so that they could be more efficient and effective.
Well, I think Canada and the U.S. were the same. Like I think back in the day, you had to show up with your deed or title to prove up that this is mine when you went into the bank to borrow and stuff.
I want to ask a few other questions. So you have done your share of negotiating. What's your biggest negotiating strategy or tip?
Much like managing people, I think that you gotta read the room, and I can't always be the same Mark depending on the audience, right? I tell our guys that as well, respectful off all the basics, of course, the honesty, punctuality, like be well dressed and honest and, do what you say you're going to do. But I think in addition to that, the little nuances of being able to pick up on what makes people tick and what they believe in and how they operate. And I think a lot of that can be done, as soon as you drive into the driveway. I like to make people feel comfortable off the start. And I believe that just kind of looking around and trying to gain some kind of an idea of what they're like. If there's pictures of Jesus on the wall, don't swear, right? Unless there's a Christmas. And I mean, some of these are maybe not the best, but I mean, if there's no Christmas tree, I wouldn't bring up Christmas. But I got burnt on it before you guys, right? So I think the biggest trick would be just reading, trying to understand your audience, I guess.
So situational awareness, just looking around and seeing
situational awareness.
Yeah. Seeing like that's actually seeing the things that are there to see as opposed to not seeing the things that are right there in the open to see. I don't know.
Being observant, and it's adaptable. Things I did. So I didn't start as a landman either. I actually went to grad school to be an English major. And so I taught, and I've taught in all different scenarios. So you don't teach grad students the same way you teach 5-year-olds, right? you have to be,
Right,
you have to, like you said, you have to be able to wear different hats and basically be a different person for each of these groups of people.
Is that unethical, you guys?
I don't know. Nathan?
No, it's
Because-
kindness. It's kindness.
Is it yeah, okay,
I
there
think.
you go. That's a good way to see it. It's kindness. You're speaking to them in a way where they will actually want to listen to you.
And I don't think of it
That's
as though I'm lying or anything. I just think this is the person that I am with 5-year-olds, and this is the person that I am with college grads, and this is the person that I am with farmers. And all those people are me, but they're just the version of me that's most useful there.
It's not manipulative.
That makes me feel better, you guys.
Yeah.
because over time it's like it's almost chameleon-esque, right? And depending upon what you know on your side of the table, right? And what they do or don't know on the other side of the table kind of drives how you are. So I mean, I would argue that I would even be, depending on the grad student, I might be a little different, Nathan, than I was with the other grad student, right? And I think that's where you really get into the gray areas. Not saying that the trick is to be sneaky, but I mean, I think it is situational awareness and adaptability.
Yeah, I think what you're hitting on there too is that when you're negotiating, you're usually negotiating on behalf of someone, and so where the gray or the things that can make you feel uncomfortable, like you go out to the landowner's house and you know that you can go up to this number, they don't know that you can go up to that number, and they agree to something a whole lot less, or their terms that they didn't even realize that they could get better than what they got. It's it can make you think. But yeah.
Well, exactly, right. And well, that's the same. And the minerals is worse than, I tell folks, like, minerals, if I'm seeing you for minerals, that's different than surface rights. If I'm high or low on the surface rights, I'm the talk of the coffee shop, right? And I don't want to be that. But if like high or low is the kind of the deal in the mineral side of things, right? So the more savvy negotiator, that one acre guy out of the big, what was it, 600 acre pool, that little owner, like, he held on just a little too long, right? But he probably would have got a little bit more than the first guy that
That's
signed
right, yeah.
up.
It doesn't always work out for them either. So in the Barnett Shell boom, there were people who were getting $20,000 an acre as a signing bonus. Because you had these little neighborhoods that would get together and they would demand even more than that, and then it all busted, and so they didn't get anything.
Well, what about managing people as a manager? What are your tips on how to be a good leader of people?
Oh, toughest lesson in my life, managing people by far. Projects don't have feelings, right? It's constant learning for me. Listen more than you talk. I still talk more than I should. But like, again, much like landowners, like, you cannot be the same individual across all your employees, right? Like, I have some more rugged individuals outside, 57 or 60-year-old landmen, probably different than a person that just started, a month ago, right? So that'd be my advice to anybody. Learn to listen and learn to adjust your behavior based on who's on the other side of the table, and always lead with benefit of the doubt and kindness, as opposed to trying to show people up. Earlier in my career, I was too mouthy, right? Like, going to change the world, this, that, and the other thing. And you learn right quick. That that isn't always the right way to go. And I mean, it's been expensive. Like, it's cost money, right, over the years and whatnot. So yeah, but the people managing is the toughest part by far. That's why you got to try to pick good people, right? Because from a project perspective, you can not everybody needs to get along, but you need to get along enough to get the results.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we found that to be very true. Is the team really matters.
Oh yeah,
and it's so tempting to hold on to.
Like me, the leader's a weirdo, right? The leader's a weirdo kind of around here on the land side. So we could have a wide variety of people on a team, and we make it work. And why everybody's just be adult about it. I think that we're open and
and we found the value of not waiting too long to make a decision as to whether or not that seat should be empty rather than keeping the person there.
Oh yeah. That's a learning curve on those too, because you hope, right? You hope for improvement, then it doesn't come, right? So I think I've gotten better at that over time, like actually using a probationary period. I don't know what your guys' employment contracts are like down there, but and actually addressing the little things sooner so you have the backup to make the move.
Sometimes somebody's just not a good fit, and for their sake, they need to go do something else, it's not doing them any favors to string them along for longer out of a misplaced sense of trying to be nice or whatever.
Yeah, you hired them. You have the experience.
We'll try to find the fit, right?
Well, what's a piece of advice that you'd give? Like if you what do you tell someone that's new to the industry?
Don't give up too quick. I think that you might, depending on where you land in this industry, you might be drinking from a fire hose right off the start, and you may or may not be your first career. Not a whole bunch of the public knows what the land industry really is up to or does, you guys. So give it a chance. I think that the breadth of projects and what you can do and be exposed to is fairly limitless. Like I said before, I guess factors of production, right? So from an economic side of things, you have land, labor, and capital, right? So those three things are the three factors of production, and entrepreneurship is the fourth kind of, I think in the books they say that. But anyways, that's how important land is, right? You need your spot, you need your people, and you need your capital, machines, money, right? So it's so vague. It's much like the environmental department, right? You guys, like land and environmental, when you think of those two words, can mean so much. So I would submit that if you're a new person and you get a land job and don't like that land job, don't give up on land, because there will be a job in land that you will like somewhere else. Because it is broad, you guys, right? Like you can be in the abstract title, like the title proving world. You can be a straight negotiator. You can be, a project manager type. You can be a 8-to-5er every day in a union, in a government setting if you want, and push paper all day. You can go out and find routes for new power lines. You can do rent reviews on old sites, damages. So,
that's one of the.
I think that's what everybody says. Like the land idea. People always think of the land being like the actual dirt. No. It's rights, right? That's right. So really, like the land, when we get talking land, like abstract mineral leases, liens, mortgages, any type of contract, right? That's land.
The people who are involved with the land are wide and varied, and there are all sorts of industries, all sorts of careers, all sorts of, you can be a title insurance, you can be an abstractor, you can be a surveyor, you can be an appraiser, you can be project manager, you can be all these things. The farmers, they deal with the land. I mean, everybody deals with the land to some extent, and so it's a great career to get into.
Yeah. I agree. I'm blessed to have this career, stumbled upon it like fluky, whatever, but I can't imagine doing anything else. I told my old man maybe 10 years ago, like, honestly, you guys, you could count on two hands tops, like how many days I've come home in 26 years and thought, what a shitty day, I want to quit. And I told my dad that, and he's like, "Oof, you got that." He's like, "Don't ever quit." You know what I mean? Because he was, worked with his hands, and a farmer and a trucker, right? And so I've been really lucky, work with great people, and even with the International Right-of-Way Association, like, you guys are exposed now. Once you go to a conference, you're kind of hooked in a little bit, eh?
Mm-hmm.
And you will build friends you'll build lifetime friends in the land business, no doubt about
That's
it.
great.
No doubt.
Well, I cannot think of a better note to end on than that. So thank you very much for your time today, Mark. Is there anything you want to advertise or anything that we didn't get to that you want to talk about? Or
Not really. Not really. I appreciate the opportunity, you guys. And like my company that I work for, Vertex Resource Group, they've been the ultimate encouragers on all of this, and they support me whatever I do with this. And we do good work. We let our work do the talking. I think you're not real flashy, but that's about all, you guys.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you, folks. Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah, thanks for being on. Thanks for hosting, Nathan.
Yeah, well, thanks for being a great boss, and thanks for everybody listening to the Landcast.
Thanks, you guys.
The Landcast is a production of Chasteen Land and Title. For uncompromising accuracy in land work across oil and gas, commercial, telecom, energy, and more, check us out at chasteenland.com. If you enjoyed this conversation, please leave us a review and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And join us each week as we keep telling the stories of the land industry.